Morning all. I guess we should look at some of Levon's wins and how he won the tournament, to be objective in inverted commas. Okay, but before we get on to his wins though, he did have quite a short loss against Peter Svidler, who I've seen in the Gibraltar tournament actually when I went a couple of years ago. I saw a lot of the stars actually there, including Nakamura and some others. Okay. So against Svidler, he experimented actually. I'm not sure he'd play this normally in long games, but he sort of sharpened things up. So playing black, he played f5 here, and personally, my results are a bit mixed when I play f5 in Blitz. Sometimes it's a bit of a disaster. It does like weaken this diagonal, which is a fact. It doesn't matter if you're a GM or an amateur, you know, that diagonal sometimes weakened and there's a basis for some crude attacking possibilities. Also, the king side is generally like weakened with that f pawn advance. On the plus side, if you can get away with it, you get nice, you know, f file pressure, you know, nice pressure maybe on f2 later. Depends if you can get the initiative, I think. Depending on, you know, which side will have the initiative, will show how this works out most of the time. But so d3 from Peter Svidler, a bit of a timid move, not accepting like the game. He doesn't want to give black, you know, a huge centre like with d5 and give him all the trump cards in the position. That's not what I would. I think I prefer d3 myself. Just trying to keep control of the centre, keep control of d5, and you know, maybe pounce on black later, a bit quieter. So black plays fe. So black's going to get that semi-open f file later. Okay, but d takes after knight f6. Instead of protecting the pawn, which might be a bit passive here, white just ignores that, just castles, because you know taking is too dangerous. I think just rook e1, and then you know black's more exposed than usual. Doesn't want to take that pawn basically. So d6 protecting it. Now knight c3. Okay, so white's got nice control of the d5 square here with that d pawn missing. With black's f pawn missing, black's got potential f file counterplay. So it's an interesting pawn structure configuration. Bishop e7, and now this for me is one of the most curious moves of the game. It's not a move I would consider in this position, and I'm not sure how many of you guys would consider it. It's a very quiet move. I don't know if it's theory or not, but it's got a logical basis to it. That white really values this light square bishop, especially with this nice diagonal. This bishop's a valuable piece, so you want to preserve it. And so Peter Svidler actually takes a move just to help preserve it in variations. He plays a3. Well, I think it might also have the implication sometimes of b4 or stopping knight b4 from black, but I think preserving it by being able to tuck it on a2 against like knight a5s, you know. So a3, I think it's an interesting move. After castles, now bishop c4 check. Okay. So no worries about knight a5s after king h8. White just plays now knight g5, going for it, yeah, because knight a5 is not an issue now, just bishop a2. So knight f7 is crudely threatened. Okay, this looks like the sort of move I'd play, knight g5, as I have done recently. Okay, black's forced into a defensive move to defend against that, and now we see the move f4. Okay, it doesn't matter so much about this pawn getting a bit weak if white can extend the scope of the pieces, share the f file pressure. If basically the piece pressure increases on the black position, these weaknesses might tell a bit more. By tell, I mean, you know, be exploitable. So e takes, bishop takes f4, and now another passive move from black. White's also potentially liberating this pawn more forward, you know, after that f4. That's sort of undermining that black pawn structure like that. So after knight d8, you know, there's always the potential now for e5s. But first, Svidler plays queen d3. So queen d3, yep, it eyes h7, of course. It means queen h3 might be possible if the bishop wasn't eyeing h3. What else does it do? It connects the rooks, maybe rook a1 and e5, all sorts of things. Queen d3. now that the knight's gone back anyway to d8, the queen's not also going to be harassed with knight e5s. Bishop's there anyway on e5. So white's got a very active position. All his pieces here, very active, very nice. Okay, knight g4. Okay, hitting that bishop, maybe knight e5 is the idea. Also, rook takes f4 might be a tactical threat now. So rook takes f4, bishop takes g5, I guess. So something has to be done to, if that is a tactical threat, rook f4. This next move defends against it anyway and puts more pressure on the black king side. So h6, and now the knight retreats. Okay, but it's done a great job. You know that h6 causes irreparable damage. Pawns don't go backwards. There's more light squares weakened here around the black king. Okay, so after knight f3, these weaknesses are going to get more and more exploitable. Like, how can white get a knight there? There's always some plots already. But before doing that, opening up the centre is another method to try and get at these weaknesses. It would signify that them becoming more exploitable, because white pieces will extend and scope even further. But after knight e6, white doesn't want to lose the dark square bishop. He plays bishop d2. And now comes up the opportunity after knight c5 to open up the position a bit further. e5. Getting rid of a weak pawn in the process. Lovely e-fold for the connected rooks. Black's rooks are not connected at the moment. Black's lagging behind the development, and this central punch just seeks to expose further the black king position and also create tactical piece liabilities as well on the e-file. So d takes, and now instead of a recapture, which probably wouldn't work here anyway, knight takes e5, or I don't know, maybe white's position is so good it does, that also works. But first, h3. So just kick that knight away, because knight takes e5 to g6 is pretty tasty looking. So don't allow like a knight recapture. But Levon played, instead of a knight f6, and it looks devastating here. If we look at knight f6, it looks absolutely crushing. Knight f6 is actually, threatening immediately knight g6 and knight takes f8. Look at these light squares. This is black's opening completely, gone wrong. All the light square weaknesses exposed. So e4, maybe black's position is already pretty desperate. Now knight h4 coming into g6 like this, not minding bishop h4s. I mean, the dark square bishop is pretty powerful anyway. It will be on h6 after bishop h4, queen h4. And then bishop h6 will be a real threat with a mating, because the bishop's covering that. So you imagine the queen now would be mate. Okay, so rook takes f1, leaves white's rook nicely on the f file. This rook's still at home, this bishop's still at home. This knight's a bit of a spectator. Okay, bishop d6. Now, actually bishop d6 would be kind of venomous if white didn't have quite a few options. Because maybe in some lines, h2 would have been useful. But bishop f4, just getting rid of black's, one of black's most active pieces. So bishop f4, rook f4, and now this g6 is just really critical. Knight e5 here, and now a beautiful move. Instead of retreating this bishop, white's ahead in development. So how does white exploit this? And also, as I say, knight g6 is always a tactical possibility. And you'll see here, look, there's an option of deflection here. It doesn't work here. Rook f8, queen takes f8. But if you make a note of that mentally, you'll see that you've got the option of actually putting the queen, like a drag and drop, is available to you here. You can drag and drop the queen to f8. Of course, this isn't useful because there's knight on e5. At the moment, it isn't useful, stopping knight g6, forking king and queen. But it's a drag and drop available to you. And here, it means also the knight is actually now virtually pinned to protecting that g6 square. So this next move attacks black. It forgets that the knight's attacking the bishop, just knight d5. Okay, because if knight takes c4, rook f8 check, queen f8, knight g6. And not only that, after black munches the three pieces, white's winning material. Let's look at that variation. So say knight takes c4 had been played, check, check, take the queen, queen f2 check, picking up even more material. So white will be heading material definitely. Okay, so after knight d5, bishop d7 was played, And okay, is black wriggling out? Is he going to start developing his pieces? Is he going to get his rook to the d file? It'll be okay. It'll be time for white to panic. You know, if black gets the d file in, there'll be counterplay. Okay, but here now comes a crushing blow, but not the most accurate blow. G6 is a real weakness for another reason, not just the rook f8s. This is a Rybka move which wasn't played. It would be queen c3 in this position. Knight f6 was played, but queen c3 actually immediately threatens queen e5 and knight g6, so just winning a piece. So the knight can't easily move here. And if you know, knight takes, then we have that variation again with knight g6 and then picking up the knight at the end of it. So here black's in real trouble. So if the knight moves anywhere, there's rook f8, and there's no way of defending that knight. This knight's not able to defend. Okay, so black will be in real trouble. But this move also puts black in real trouble, but is less accurate. So it's still, I think, fairly crushing though. Queen e7. If black had taken, you see, rook takes f6 threatens to make the black king now, with rook and queen just mowing down the black king on the strips. So queen h5 here, there'll be knight f5 is a very nice, beautiful tactical move. So with the idea that rook h6 has to be defended against, and if it's defended with bishop f5, then queen e5, and then these diagonals are absolutely lethal. Yes, I did engine check this variation to find this. Didn't find this by myself. Don't worry. But it's a beautiful tactic, isn't it? This knight f6. It's really just murdering the black king position. So g takes. We have rook takes f6. Okay, we can all see that move, I guess. But it's here, this nice interference of the queen and knight move with knight f5. That really finishes black. Okay, because you know, king h7, there's queen e7. Queen e7. Okay, let's engine check this position just to make sure. King h7, what would be the quickest after king h7? Because is the king just going back? Okay. So say king h7, it's queen e7 check. Here rook f8, queen takes f8. Right. So basically, let's go back here. Knight f6 seems to be crushing in all variations. G takes f6. So we're saying rook f6, queen h5. So the strongest move here would be knight f5. So interfering with that knight, trying to get, you know, these diagonals working against the black king. Now technically black's best move according to Rybka is knight f3. But let's say bishop f5, so queen e5. This is all over here after queen e5. Okay, engine off. So queen, actually after knight f6, queen e7 was played, ignoring all that stuff. But now comes knight g6 check. And after knight takes g6, queen takes g6. So here we can see that black's king is still in trouble. There's a mate in one threat. So g takes f6, defending against the mate in one threat. But now comes rook h4. So just trivially going to play rook takes h6. So black really doesn't want to give up the queen. It's just hopeless, that position. It will be losing that knight again as well. So rook takes, probably, I guess. No, there is no... oh, it's mate here anyway. Forget about winning the knight. It's just mate. Okay. So that's easy, isn't it, after that? After g takes f6, a lot of things become simplified. So it's a bit of a crushing attack. Okay. Comments or questions on YouTube? Thanks very much.